Every business needs visibility, and if you need help, our next guest is a full-service digital marketing agency. Today, we introduce you to Local Image.
This is Charleston Women Podcast, where you can meet like-minded, strong, independent, professional, and inspiring local women. This is Charleston Women Podcast.
Now, we are thrilled to welcome to the Charleston Women Podcast. We have Amber McDonald and Holly Bruns from Local Image. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so you guys are a full-service digital marketing agency. I can't think of any business that can't use your help. So I want to kind of dive in. You guys offer a ton of services, but you kind of wanted to start off by talking about red flags that someone should look for when deciding on what agency to work with. Is that correct?
Yes, we put together 10 of them to kind of keep an eye for.
Yeah, we need to know. So go ahead, dive right in.
Local Image is a full service digital marketing agency. Holly and I worked for a agency based out of Texas that was a corporate one. And so we spent a couple years there kind of just learning the ins and outs of how agencies worked. We learned a lot about the corruption within the industry. And so that's why we started our own to really help educate local businesses. So we put together the 10 red flags today that are basically just things to look out for if you are hiring someone to do your marketing, and to just make sure that you are as empowered as possible and getting the most out of your budget. So
right. So let's dive right in. Are we going from like 10 to 1, or are we starting high, going low?
You can just start through the list if you want to go.
Okay, go for it.
Perfect. So something that's really important is finding someone, an agency or someone that you're working with that's really invested in your business and really understands like your experience. So when we are doing reporting and things, we're really looking at what you are actually experiencing within your business. So many agencies will set up ads or do things and come back and just say, hey, we drove you this many clicks, this many impressions, but we want to know who's walking through your door, what's actually converting, and things like that. So you really want to have an understanding of what your KPIs are, how they're measuring, but making sure that there's actually a relationship built so that your experience is not completely different from what the advertising agency's experience is.
The biggest thing on this to look for is when agencies are focusing on the amount of clicks and impressions they gave you without asking what you're actually seeing and what's come through. So
do you think that sometimes that's even confusing for business owners? Like it might be inflated. They're like, oh my gosh, we had all these clicks, but they don't mean much because it wasn't targeted properly or, reaching the right people.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
In 1996, it was Southern Women to Women magazine. Now it's Charleston Women magazine. Charleston Women is all about strong, capable, confident, hardworking, nurturing, determined, dedicated, and inspiring women. Our readers are business owners, entrepreneurs, mothers, sisters, wives, and grandmothers. Pick up your copy of Charleston Women magazine at Charleston area Harris Teeters and Food Lions. Charleston Women magazine. We are Charleston Women.
You're listening to the Charleston Women Podcast.
All right, so that's red flag number 1. What else do you have?
The next one is one-man shows. So there's so many different ways to go about marketing. You could hire interns, you could hire people who manage social media independently, and then there's firms like ours. However, one thing that you want to be careful of is one-man show marketing. That's what we call it. So it's basically people who are one individual who claim that they have the skill sets to do everything. So they're managing your website, they're managing your social, they're doing your ads, and it's really just impossible for one person to really have the expertise of each of these skill sets. So it's fine if you have one person doing social and one person doing ads, but just be wary of one person saying that they're handling every aspect of your marketing.
Right. It's hard to be an expert in all the things, right?
Yeah.
You can't do everything well. All right, so that's red flag number 2. What else do you have for us?
Red flag number 3 is huge promises with a low cost. We see this happen so frequently, especially with SEO, search engine optimization. We'll have people come to us and say, hey, someone promised me to be first on Google, first page on Google, 1 through 3 with $100 a month. And my first question is, what the heck are they doing for you? There's like black hat tactics, white hat tactics, so things that are really like good and things that are really bad practices. You really want to have an understanding of what the value is that they're offering. And it's just not reasonable to expect that kind of result with that low of budget. There's a lot of man hours that goes behind, a lot of work that goes into making it happen. And a lot of times marketing services can really seem like something that is intangible, because it's a lot of things being done behind the scenes. Obviously, you can see a social media post, you can see your website. When it comes to some services, you really want to have an understanding of the activities that they're doing for you.
Good rule of thumb. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So
Good. Yeah. Good rule of thumb to remember. So, all right. So the last one is obviously if it's priced too low, probably not going to be a great service, if you will. What do you have next?
The next one is not always applicable, but it is something that local businesses and services really should consider. It's when the marketer or the marketing agency is not located near you and has no knowledge of your market. Just with a lot of businesses today, especially in industries like hospitality and real estate, it's really important that whoever's managing your marketing understands the community that you're in, the market, the geography. We've seen so many mistakes happen with people across the US managing accounts on the East Coast. It's just, it can be a big issue. So again, that doesn't apply to every industry and business. You really have to gauge if that feels like it aligns with your business. But for the most part, it is better to have someone that's at least nearby some of the time. So
yeah, that makes sense. Do you guys service clients nationally?
So we do, but for the most part, our headquarters is in Portland, Maine. That's where we started. So the majority of our clients are there. We just moved to Charleston part-time to start establishing ourselves in a new market for this exact reason. But we do have some clients in other places, and those are clients that it really you don't need to be in that area, or it's an area that we're very familiar with. So
okay. Well, welcome to Charleston.
Thank you.
A little sunnier than Portland.
Yeah, absolutely. We're enjoying it.
What else do you guys have? How many red flags do we have left?
Next one is they don't consider the whole picture. So let's say I have someone that comes to me and says, Holly, I need Google ads. Great, let's have a conversation about that. We really believe in making sure that we're looking at the full picture of your marketing strategy and make sure that the people that you're working with do as well. One individual can absolutely support you with something like Google ads or social, but you really want to make sure things are cohesive. So amongst your brand, you want to make sure if you start putting money into lead generation, that your website is actually set up to perform and capture and convert. And so often the pieces just aren't looked at as a full strategy that's cohesively supporting one another.
That's a good one. What's next?
Next one is lack of customization. So this, again, there's some industries that you don't necessarily need a lot of customization to a marketing program for it to be functional. But if the agency has the same offering for every single business, there's likely a big red flag there. You want to make sure that they're assessing your business, who you are, what your goals are, and kind of tailoring a solution for you.
Okay, that makes sense. What else do you have?
Along with those tailored goals, just not having a long-term strategy. So a lot of people get fearful of getting locked into a long-term contract. Definitely commit to what's comfortable for you. But if you're working with someone, you really do want to make sure that that person working with your business is invested with your company long-term and looking at what your goals are. So not just for this month when they're signing on, not just for the next 3 months, but what are you trying to accomplish as a business? How do you anticipate growing? What are the services that you plan on continuing with to give to your clients, and how do you work with them? So a lot of times just having sites and conversations about your long-term strategy can really affect how you approach things from the beginning.
All right. So you guys take the time in the beginning to sit down, obviously, go through all that before you start anything. What do you have next? Another red flag.
The next one is actually a niche one. This is a red flag that really can tell you if someone who's managing social media or working with you on social media, if they actually have the experience and knowledge behind Facebook that they should have. And that's if people are not utilizing Business Manager and gaining access to your pages as a business manager and professional, and making sure that you own your assets properly. A lot of the times we'll see people, agencies, create pages or just add themselves to the page as a manager instead of going through the Business Manager. Just something to keep an eye on, because a lot of the times that does lead to a lack of knowledge around social media and how they're managing it.
Right. You don't get all the insights, right? If you don't, if it's not set up the right way. What do you have next?
Basically, poor communication. We all get busy in our businesses, and the last thing we want is to pay for a service, no matter what you're going to pay for, and just not have that communication and those expectations around what's going to be happening next. So just making sure that there's a really clear understanding of what that working relationship looks like. what your expectations are as far as like if you're doing social media, what assets you're going to be providing, what they're going to be doing for you, and then when are you coming back together to review this information and re-strategize, look at reporting and things like that. So you're not going 3 to 6 months without any communication and you're like, this is really just not aligning, and you don't have that good relationship with the people you're working with.
Right, for sure. What do you have next?
The next one is actually the last one. So this is the 10th red flag. This is a big one when it comes to websites. So if someone is selling you SEO as a service or building you a website that's meant to perform online and they're doing it on anything other than WordPress, then that is a red flag. WordPress is really the end all be all of online platforms. Like, it has the most capabilities. So if they're building you a GoDaddy or Squarespace website and telling you that it's going to perform well online, that's definitely a red flag.
Okay. Yeah. And you guys also, you have another option. If someone can't afford your full services, you kind of have like a DIY. They get access to everything you know through an online course.
Yeah. So we just launched our full digital course, which took almost a year to build. So it's really comprehensive. There's like 72 chapters, and it takes you through every piece of digital marketing for a local business and just helps educate you on how to and what you need to know. I feel like a lot of business owners today feel really burned with marketing and like they don't understand it. So it's a great way to gain that knowledge and make sure you're outsourcing your marketing services properly and getting the most out of your budget. And we also have a mini version because 72 chapters can be really intimidating. So we have a 20% off course or 20% off code for anyone who wants to take that course listening to this podcast, which is local marketing all caps. And we will provide the link for people to purchase it.
Yeah, go ahead. Since people are listening to us, go ahead and say your website so they can find that.
Yeah, it's localimagecode.com.
Okay, so go to localimagecode.com. And then if you click on where you see the course, local marketing, you'll get 20% off either of those options.
Yes, there's a digital course page that they can, but we will provide it so that it's an easy access link. So
if someone's like, I don't want to DIY it, I need your help, they can also go to your website. Is that the best way to contact you?
Yep. On our contact page, you can either submit a form or book a free consultation right from the website. So
Is there anything else you'd like to add? You guys offer a little bit of everything. You do it all for people. So what would you say for someone who might be looking for your services?
If you're, in the local Charleston market, we really, really believe in education and empowering people to know what they're going to be getting into. We do workshops, but we're always open to just having a conversation, no matter if you're a new business or if you're established in the community, just starting with a conversation just to create a roadmap of what a marketing strategy might look like for you is a good place to start.
That's great. And do you have any areas of specialty that you work with, like certain businesses?
Yeah, we definitely do specialize in each of our departments just because we have professionals in each of them. But I would say that SEO is a really big strong suit, and that's a pain point for a lot of people because it can be very confusing in the market. So if you are struggling to show up first on Google, drive leads organically through Google, we would be a great place to start.
All right, ladies, anything else you'd like to add today?
I don't think so. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. I learned a lot, and I know our listeners learned a lot too. So it's Local Image. You can go to localimagecode.com for more information. And don't forget to use that code for 20% off local marketing. And you have been listening to the Charleston Women Podcast.
Thanks for spending time with Charleston Women Podcast. Please like us and follow us on whatever platform you're using to access Charleston Women Podcast.